And just in terms of what happens now, I mean, this really does call Ceop into question, doesn't it? It's now going to be investigated.
Well, I think the fact that a number of members of staff are going to be investigated is understandable. But I do think the important issue here is the context at the time. From 2011, shortly after this government came in, Ceop was thrown into turmoil. Too few staff doing far too much work, and I think it would be adding insult to injury if the staff alone were subject of investigation. The entire context of the pressure Ceop was under, the mistakes that this government had made, the lack of investment that Theresa May herself had promised back in 2011, none of that had manifested itself. So we've got to look at context. I'm not making excuses. It's terrible what happened, and there needs to be lessons learned. But it can't just be identifying the few staff dealing with the huge volume of work that comes their way like a tidal wave in these type of cases.
So you talk about the huge volume of work. Do you think there's a danger that other cases have been missed? There's information there that hasn't been handed on relating to other cases?
I think at any time, in any place in child protection, when you're dealing with the volumes that Ceop deals with, there is a risk. And that risk is aggravated if you haven't got specially trained and highly experienced child protection staff dealing with the issues. I am saying that I believe that post this government coming into power at the end of 2010, Ceop was thrown into disarray. Too few experienced staff with the training, the skills and abilities to deal with this complex work. And it's wrong if those people that were thrown into the front line are going to be held to scrutiny, and the government who created the context which delivered this problem are not.
OK, Jim Gamble, thank you very much for speaking to us here on Sky.
Forces in the UK who could investigate and potentially have these individuals prosecuted. Now, there have been 3 people convicted now that that intelligence has been passed on. One of those is a teacher called Martin Goldberg from Essex. Then it emerged that he had more than 400 images of children that he'd taken after installing secret cameras in the school where he taught and in a local leisure centre, and that he had been using these images until he was questioned by the police and he then took his own life. So I think that really demonstrates the seriousness of this, that had Ceop passed that information on to local police sooner, they would have been able to investigate sooner and may have been able to prevent some of these offences being committed. Now, that's exactly what the IPCC are going to investigate. Why did Ceop not act sooner, and how many additional offences were committed during the period of that delay? The IPCC has now issued a statement about its decision to investigate Ceop. Commissioner Carl Gumsley has said the public are rightly concerned about the safety of the most vulnerable children, the most vulnerable members of society, and issues concerning the protection of children. Independent IPCC investigators will be examining closely the actions taken by Ceop and the National Crime Agency officers and staff over a 16-month period to determine if they acted appropriately and promptly, as well as looking at any possible organisational failings.
OK, Afua, thank you.